know the Diaz bros right here doing something with what's the show on CNN, the chef?
Oh, Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, they're linking up with him. So
I love those guys. The Diaz brothers are my homies, man. Those are my people.
good dudes.
I
Man.
just love their style.
I was in Whole Foods pushing my baby, getting grapes. I love these cotton candy flavored grapes. They're hard to find, man. So I have a connection. The guy texted me when they're getting a batch. So
Cotton candy grapes?
Yes, they're grapes, but they're mixed with something, some strain, like some mutant grapes.
Wow.
They taste like cotton candy.
Oh, wow.
I have the worst sweet tooth, so I eat those instead of sugar.
Wow.
There's still sugar in them, but it's better than candy. There's some nutrients. Anyways, so the guy texts me, hey, we're getting a batch of cotton candy grapes, and I fucking stroll up there. And I'm pushing my baby, and I run into Nate. You know, he knows about the show and Rogan and all that stuff.
What's up, Brandon? Just getting some cotton candy grapes.
Yeah. But he's just like...
I'm not surprised that you're getting candy grapes.
He was just like, hey, bro, I just want you to know, man, I fell down on purpose.
Oh.
I was trying to get some grapes here, brother. And then, you know, like, there's no... We're not. I mean, I guess I could get my recorder out if you want.
Did you talk about it on a previous podcast where
you probably heard me and Rogan talking about it? Because everyone knows. You know, I love Nate. I'm so glad he's getting his notoriety now. I love both of those guys, and I'm a huge Conor supporter. Like I'm a Conor dick rider. Yeah, I'll admit it. And so he knows that, and he's just telling me, you know, those shots didn't land. I was falling down on purpose. Like
it's gotten mixed up a lot because I'm so ridiculously pro Diaz, and when it was Diaz McGregor, I went full Diaz because it was Diaz McGregor. Yeah, I mean they're just too funny to me, those guys. And so like some people on like social media and stuff think I'm a McGregor hater, but he's literally like my fourth favorite fighter in the world, right?
We live in this weird world where if you're like, oh, I like Conor, and he's fighting Nate, like fuck you, like y'all get horrible hate mail. Yeah. But I like both, man. Like, why can't I like both? Yeah. Like, what Conor's doing is it's once in a lifetime. Like, you need that.
Yeah. So you really think that those punches did knock him down?
Maybe the first one. I think it surprised him. Maybe sat him down. I don't think it hurt him.
Right.
I think he's right in that. I don't think it hurt him. And I think maybe after he might have been a little fatigued and just trying to get Conor to come down to his world to submit him. That's fair. And Nate's too smart of a fighter to. And he's not a bullshit. Right. He's not a bullshitter either. Right. So I believed it to a certain extent.
It was funny for me to see when Alvarez went down. I feel like McGregor pounced, right? He just like went right into it, and it was funny to see that how like Nate on his back is like a fucking cobra.
He's also huge though.
Yeah,
he's also way bigger. And Eddie Alvarez off his back. I mean, Conor got that.
Right.
But I watched that fight at 1 in the morning. I did a live fight.
Alvarez or Diaz too?
Alvarez.
Okay.
Conor McGregor. We did a live comedy show with Fire and the Kid. Then people saw that, stayed and paid extra to watch the fights with us, like a live companion.
Oh, that's
so me and Brian are talking on mics with this sold-out crowd at Palm Beach.
Wow.
It was a beast. I mean, at 1 in the morning. But that fight, man, I mean, it was insane.
That's got to be fun, a live fight companion. I mean, that's got to be so funny. I can just tell how
it was funny, but it was like, you know, by the time everything, it was like 1:30 in the morning. Yeah. We've been talking nonstop. Even I was sick of my own voice. I was sick of Brian. Yeah. And... He was sick of Brian 5 minutes. Right, yeah. And he was running on material, and Conor's coming out, and he's doing a horrible Conor accent, Irish accent. Right. And I saw some guys turn around and go, and I went, hey, B, just give me the mic, man. Maybe just sit the rest of the day out, huh? And he goes, why? I went, I'm annoyed. I think the crowd's annoyed. I said, when Conor's walking out, I think we just want to like embrace this. He goes, oh yeah, no problem. It was hilarious. That's so funny. I literally took the mic from him. I was like, I'm just gonna take this. Yeah. I'm gonna turn this off. I love that. Fucking up the fight now. Did you watch pro wrestling growing up? I did. Yeah. As a grown man, I don't. Of course. No. 33. I get it. I know you have to say that. I know you're just like Rogan. You guys have to say every 10 seconds that you don't watch it. No, I get it. I wish I could get into it. I really do. Like, I love The Rock. He's one of my top 5 favorite people. Yeah. And when he did WrestleMania in Miami, I had people over. I'm like, he's back. Yeah. I ordered this horrible Thai food. I remember where I was for that. All grown men are watching it, and I was like, this is terrible. Yeah. The Rock owes me fucking $70. Right. Like, this was awful. Yeah. You know, I know it's cliche to say no one worked harder than me. Was I world champ? I wasn't, man. So that, you know, there might have been a guy who worked maybe a little less hard, but he's so talented, or maybe he was more comfortable inside that cage. I was never comfortable. Right. I was always terrified. It was never my calling. It just wasn't. My family knew that. My friends knew that. even my coaching, it was never my calling. I was just really athletic. I picked up on things, and I was competitive, and I had a knack for it, and there weren't that many good athletes in the sport when I was coming up, so I advanced very quickly. I've always, as a kid, and my friends knew this, I was always this goofball. My heroes were in Saturday Night Live. My heroes were Jim Carrey, Adam Sandler.
Yep.
I was just, you know, it's a blessing and curse. I was blessed with these genes. I'm a bigger guy, and I was fast and picked up things. So, and in Denver, Colorado, there wasn't an outlet to do any of this. I wanted to do it, but playing football, fighting the UFC was kind of, that was like, I didn't think this was a possibility. Like if 5 years ago you told me I was doing a podcast with you, sitting here talking about comedy, I would have, like, what drug are you taking? I would love to have some. Like, that's not happening. So the similarities are, you're on your own, and the work you put in, you're usually going to get that out of it. And, you know, and this might be my own insecurities, and Rogan told me that the other day, but I'm already behind the 8 ball, just because, and and I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but.
No, I love it. Keep going.
Like, I've never felt like as an outcast or kind of the nerdy kid until in 6th grade I did, when I left Aurora Hills Middle School. I went to Prairie Middle School, brand new school. I really didn't fit in. But as a jock, people can gravitate towards you. You can make friends easily. In the comedy world, like, I'm a little bit of the dorky kid now because, you know, as an athlete, kind of this meathead, you're an outcast, man. So I'm always so, like, so insecure when I come, like I literally, when I was driving home the other night after we got done, just all the comics were hanging out.
Yeah.
Like, I got in my car, I was driving down Sunset, I almost felt like crying. I was just so happy because everyone was so friendly to me, and I felt like I had friends. And, you know, at 32, for the first time in my life, when I started doing comedy on my own, I was like, man, these guys are going to hate me. And so I was worried about how I dressed. And when I went to Laugh Factory and had me on the marquee, I went in like, you got to take me off, man. You can't do that. Like, it's not helping me.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck? Like, Rogan's like, what are you talking about?
It's true, though. Those insecurities are actually an advantage, believe it or not. Yeah. Like, what you don't want to be is out of touch and not self-aware and this and that. All the good comedians have insecurities. They're freaking out. If you think Chappelle doesn't think to himself, man, I'm about to go up there and riff, and I did fucking season 2 of the Chappelle Show. Yeah. And these people see me go up there. Their expectations are going to be so fucking high. Yeah. I mean, he's doing that. I know it. Yeah, and sure. I know Seinfeld's going, oh, man, I haven't been here in 38 years. What am I going to do? I don't even know. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's the beauty in it. So then when your gut does flow, like, and your instincts have to rock out, like you said, all your little bit of training here and there and every night and this and that, you know, we're writing during the day, it just lets it rip. And
nonstop. And that same kind of work ethic I had in sports, you know, I brought into business, I brought in my comedy. So every morning I'm going through my set. In the afternoon, I'm going through my set. If there's a show coming up, I'm doing it 3-6 times a night, just going. And then I'm finding stuff. Then when I go on stage, I'll find certain things, and it's the best feeling, man. Oh, yeah. And I get off, I'm like, this is what you're supposed to do, man.
Yeah. And when you're doing something that you really want to be doing and pushing yourself, there's nothing more fun than that. Now, I want to get back to something, because you said something that's, like, so fucking intriguing and cool, and I love that you said it and the honesty in it. I'm intrigued to find out more about it. You said that you were, let me put it to you this way. I love living my dreams, right? Like, I love doing stand-up comedy. I got to roast Snoop Dogg last week, which was epic. Like, I had so much fun.
I heard you killed it, too.
Night of my life. I had the night of my life. I mean, I had Snoop calling me a young genius, like all this shit.
He's right. Yeah,
we ended up smoking, rapping together. We rapped a verse of one of my favorite
night of all time?
It was the best night of all time. It really was. Like, I was on cloud 9 for like 3 days afterwards. And, you know, I did this show called the Goddamn Comedy Jam a couple times, where you get to, like, actually be a rock star after doing a comedy set in front of a real rock and roll crowd. Like, I've done amphitheaters at Oddball. Yeah. And one of the things that I would love to do that I'm sure will never happen would be to, like, if there was, like, you know, a special, like, celebrity type of UFC, you know, in weight classes type of thing. It's just something I would love to do. Now, I can't imagine how nervous I would be for this. Like, as a super fan and a guy that is so close to the action in the octagon, here's what I'm sort of wondering is, like, are there certain moments or times during the entrance, during the, you know, when they're applying like the Vaseline and putting in your mouthpiece, like what are some things that stand out to you, like when you're like really like this shit is about to go down? Or is there a part where you get more scared? Is there a part where you get more like, you know, the entrances, the psychology behind everything in the UFC is what I love. The fact that people think it's animals fighting and not chess blows my mind.
And that's what makes like certain world champions so much more special than just your typical UFC fighter. Because everyone goes through nerves. I've seen the biggest, baddest guys you see on TV terrified in the back. It's just normal. If you're not scared, I'd probably say you're stupid, because fear is a sign of intelligence. They go hand in hand. So guys that aren't scared, it's like, oh yeah, you're a caveman. Yeah, this is, of course you would fight. Yeah, go ahead. So for me, I'm in the back. I was always terrified, man. There was never a fight where I was just like, oh, you got this. Like I was always, and I worked with mental coaches and everything on it, and I know most guys do. But it's just not, it wasn't natural. It just, your brain's going, what are you doing, man? What the hell are you doing? And I would just, anytime I had a negative thought come up, I'd count it with a positive right away. I'd breathe, or I was a guy who I couldn't just sit there and think. I'd like to move and get a sweat on it. That helped my nerves. So in the back was when they're wrapping your hands, everything, like, what the fuck? Every fight, I'm like, this is the last one. What the fuck am I doing?
When they're wrapping the hands, for example, is definitely, you have time to think. You almost are naturally looking down at it.
My last fight 2 years ago, UFC 181 at MGM, the guys wrapped my hands, and he go, and he's a famous cut man. I'm not going to sell him out, but he's huge, and you'll see him in every corner box. And he goes, you a striker or a grappler? I went, well, both. And he goes, well, how do you want me to wrap your hands? Like, you trying to knock this guy out, or are you trying to grapple? I went, both. I go, does it matter? I said, it's UFC, brother. This isn't boxing. Haven't you been doing this forever? And he goes, well, some guys like that. He goes, because if you're knockout artist, I'm going to give you more padding. If you're grappling, I'm going to give you less padding. I'm like, well, I like to think I can do both. And I just going through that interaction with him, I was like, this is terrible. Like,
all of a sudden,
you're
like,
off to a bad start.
You're like, my opponent probably went for the knockout, the son of a bitch.
And I'm like, does he ask everyone this? I'm like, well, go ask my opponent. What did he pick? Yeah. I was like, both, brother. But those thoughts are crazy, man. It's a... And some people are born to do it, like the Diaz brothers, Donald Cerrone, Ronda Rousey, Conor. There's guys who it's just in their nature, it's in their blood. If you ask Nate and Nick Diaz to fight right now for free, they would do it. I would never do that. I've never been the guy that got in a fight at a bar or something like that. Some people, it's just in their nature to do it. So it made my nerves even more scary, and that's why I was motivated by fear, which is... You know, I probably aged 10 years. I got gray hairs now and shit because I was always so stressed out. My manager, Lex McMahon at the time, he would only call me if it was important. That's why I love this guy. He'd only call me if I got a fight, a big sponsor, a fight got canceled, something. And he would send me a text if it was a fight that go, call me amigo. He's Vince McMahon's son. So he's been in show business forever, blah, blah, blah. So I'd get a text, call me.
Vince McMahon's son?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, not Vince McMahon. Ed McMahon.
Oh, gotcha.
Johnny Carson show, blah, blah, old school guys. So he goes, call me amigo. And it was some big fight. I think it was Gabriel Gonzaga, who's ranked number 6 in the world at the time. And it was like my first huge fight in Anaheim. I'm on the main card for the first time. Cain Velasquez and Brock Lesnar's the main event. So it's like huge for me. I win that one, title contention, blah, blah, blah. And I remember I got the text, got the call, Gabriel Gonzaga, number 6, 7 in the world, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, man. Hung up the phone, and I just started running. And I probably ran 22 miles, but just straight. Just straight.
Forrest Gump style.
Forrest Gump style in jeans and a polo.
Wow.
And just, like, running because I was, like, so scared.
Oh,
I had to get a cab back. I didn't know where I was. Yeah, I was so out of it, I just started running straight.
Wow, that is intense.
It's so intense, man. And then... that night I wouldn't sleep. I was watching videos of him, and because I was a fan of the UFC before I was even in it. I was the guy that stood in line at the expos for hours to get Wanderlei and Josh Koscheck's autograph. Like, I was that guy. So when these names, they come, I think it's an advantage if you don't know them. If you're like, it's whatever. I've seen that guy's last 2 fights. He got knocked out by Junior Dos Santos. Not a big deal. To me, I was like, oh, that's Gabriel Gonzaga who beat this guy. He lost Randy Couture. He knocked out Crow Cop, best knockout of all time. Holy shit. And I just started running like Forrest Gump.
Wow.
So I never dealt with it very well.
Right. I mean,
some guys do. I never did, man.
Just some crazy guy in jeans and a polo running down the street continuously.
Sweating, man.
That's hilarious, man. That 22 miles. You're so funny. What a head case. That's amazing. I love that.
And some people are great at it. But I was always a guy who I mean, my entire career, even in the NFL, but especially in the UFC, it's not that I'm difficult to deal with. If you talk to anyone in the UFC, I'm a great employee. Any of my employees I have now for Fighting the Kid, I'm the best, man. I'm easy to work with. But I was always a guy, I wouldn't fight with you, but I would always ask, why are we doing this? Like, if you're going to say get in line, I'm like, cool, where are we going? I just want to know, like, what the plan is here, because I pride myself on being an educated, smart dude, and I just want to figure out where this ship's going before I jump on the ship. Yeah. So I've always been that way. And, you know, it bumped some people wrong. Stuff. And